Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tanitra Batiste. That is Sam Crenshaw still hanging out with us on a Tuesday after the holiday. We appreciate him for stopping by and always appreciate you guys for stopping by our YouTube page as well. We're over 2,100 subscribers across the Locked On Sports Atlanta network. Really excited about that. And keep on liking, subscribing, and letting everybody know about this show. Also, wherever you download your podcast, please go to that platform and give us a 5-star review because, like I always say, when we bring you 5-star guests, let everybody know just how much you loved those 5-star guests. And listen, there's nobody better to talk to about Braves. And like we said, we're going to get into a little bit of something that's going to be a surprise and maybe exciting for some of you, just as it is for me. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys a little bit about Rock Auto. So this episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. And you got to think about this. With the ever increasing numbers of makes and models and just everything that you have to go through in the car buying market these days, it's impossible for you to actually know your local chain auto parts store. So say, for example, you buy a car and you need a part for it. Once you finally do get through that harrowing process of purchasing a car and you're wondering, where can I get this part? So you go to your local store and they ask you 15 questions and they go to the back and supposedly get a part and never come back with anything. Why don't you just save yourself the hassle? Save the time, save the money, and use Rock Auto. You could choose to spend 30, 50, or even 100% more for the same part. Then again, why would you do that? Go to Rock Auto. It's a family business. It's been serving rather do it yourself for 20 years. That's a lot of time. So basically, we're saying they're reliable and they are reliably low for every single customer. And it's really simple. You can go to rockauto.com even right now or after you finish watching ATL Day Ones and see all the parts that are available for your car or truck. Just right locked on in there when it asks you, how'd you hear about us? And if you let them know that you sent us, that'll be a good look for you. Again, amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. And that'll save you a hassle in a very busy world that we live in today. Again, that's rockauto.com. So you talk about reliable, and rockauto.com is one of those reliable resources for car owners who want to do it yourself style, Sam. Another reliable team that's getting it done for themselves is the Braves. The Braves are back on a tear. And, we've been joking about the fact that June was their undefeated month, and then they end up getting 21 wins in the month of June, which is still an amazing feat. And when you look at the success they've had, even just starting July on a very positive, a very high note with what they were able to do in Cincinnati, forget the third game in Cincinnati, but on the same token, coming back here to end the first half of the season and begin a 4-game series versus the Cardinals, you have to absolutely love what the Braves have been able to do to get themselves back in this conversation as a potential winner of their 5th division crown in a row. When you think about the conversation we were having just 6 or 8 weeks ago. So I thought we'd do kind of a little look back on that first half. And I'm curious to see from your perspective, Sam, the best of the first half for you. Was it a player? Was it a philosophy? Was it the coach? What, when you look back on the first half, do you say, wow, that did it for me?
Wow, there's so many things with this team when you think
Agreed.
about it. But obviously, you got to talk about some surprises you got with pitching, and we talked about Kyle Wright and what he was able to do. Kenley Jansen. Some people said they didn't wonder, he did have some blown save opportunities. I wondered how well he was going to do, coming from the Dodgers. I was
Mhm.
pleasantly surprised. He showed that he could still shut things down the
Yeah.
majority of the times he get the ball, and we hope that he's going to be back to rejoin the team very soon because
Hmm.
he has a stabilizing force at the back end of that bullpen. Matt
Agreed.
Olson comes in, and he's a little bit of a roller coaster, but I mean he's coming in. Taking over first base and leaving a very popular icon, not just an all-star player, but an icon
Sure.
locally. And, he's a hometown product. He's come
Hmm.
in and done an admirable job in that. And I think maybe after the Dodgers came through and all that went on, maybe now he's taking a deep breath and says, "Okay, we've gotten past the series with the Dodgers. We've gotten past all the Freddie love affair. Now I can go out here and just play ball and be the first baseman for the Braves. And
So
maybe that's a
Kenley
little bit
Jansen is your 1A and Matt Olson's your 1B for the best for the
one
first half?
one B, and then of course I got to get Michael Harris in there.
Oh, you
You
can't take
know,
all the best, Sam. Now what
okay,
that
well you want to bring him in. You well, go ahead. You go ahead and bring him in. Go
I'm
ahead and
taking
bring him
all
in.
the best, man.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
no, I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But real talk, I was gonna go in the Michael Harris direction
yeah, yeah.
because right.
Are you as amazed as I am as how much he's able to do in a really short period of time?
Oh man, Sam, this is one of those where, okay, yeah, it's an eye opener when you hear somebody called up from double A. But on the same token, if you have been watching anything or listening to anything he had been doing, listening about him, because we'd be getting these reports about how amazing he was in double A. But then for someone to be so young and to come in and look like a veteran, I mean, what Michael Harris is able to do at the plate, what Michael Harris has been able to do, and honestly, every night I don't know which Michael Harris is going to be better, the one out in the outfield or the one at the plate. But he never disappoints. I do know that, and it's amazing because you see prospects all the time, right? And for the Braves, they've got an embarrassment of riches back to back because you look at a Ronald Acuna Jr. as well being called up. You look at an Austin Riley who's being called up as well, and really seeing that their farm system really develops players into something special. But yeah, Michael Harris, for me, it's like you said, I would call him my first half 1A. And since we're going 1A, 1B, I got to give Kyle Wright a little 1B shout out, right?
There you go.
Because
There you go. There you go.
word on it. Who knew? I mean, who knew we would be having this conversation about Max Fried and Kyle Wright at the through the first half of the season? Now, we got to be fair. We can't act like it's been all skipping in the tulips for the Braves. It's been rough. It was really rough for Braves country for a great portion of the first half. So there were some lumps and bumps that we had to take. What was the toughest part or the worst part for you of getting through that first half of this season?
Wow, the toughest part was leaving people on base. Once they finally getting hits with guys on in scoring position, because remember early in the season everybody was getting solo home runs.
Yeah.
All the home runs seemed like there was solo. There was nobody there, and was people were on base. They couldn't. They had trouble converting, and I think that's one of the things this team really struggled with. But like you said before, this batting order is so talented, and once things
Hmm.
got going, we talk about where Dansby Swanson is now. Ozzy Albies is out right now, but he was one of the guys whose bats
Yeah.
got going. Austin Riley, obviously, what he's doing, and that's the thing that really helped once guys got on base.
Hmm.
Drives came in, and we got to talk about the productivity from the catching position. Because
Yeah.
both the backstops have been doing a great job there. So that was the one thing that bothered untimely hitting, and then the play out in left field. That kind of bothered a bit too. We
Yeah.
got to spending a lot of money out
Hmm.
there. Marcelo
Yeah.
Zuna, when he's got his bat
Right.
going, and that's another thing. His bat was hit and miss. That's going, but
Hmm.
in left field, it still tends to be a little bit of a liability. I hope he's seemed like with a DH spot. We'll see him there more consistently in the second half of the season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes because, like you said, he's gotten a little more consistent, but you can't overlook what he wasn't able to do in the outfield. And yes, the logical position to put him in would be DH, but then that gives you the conundrum of what you do with William Contreras because if he's catching every other day, then what do you do on the days when he's not catching? And you've got the dilemma of, okay, I want to put him in at the DH because that's certainly a spot where he can be successful. Well, I want a 1A and 1B us on the worst of
Okay.
the first half. And I hate to say it because they're doing so well, but we got to, be real about it. And I would say going back to the bullpen, that's been a tough up and down. And granted, I do want to preface by saying some of the middle relief situation has been because of injuries like a Tyler Matzik going down, and then you've got to shuffle the deck to figure out, okay, wait, where's AJ Minter supposed to go, right? And Will Smith,
Right.
are you going to be goodwill or bad will today? And then you lose Kenley Jansen, so your closer is out. You just didn't know. So the bullpen for me was probably the disappointing part of the worst half. And I would say too, kind of disappointing slash shocking would be the regression of Ian Anderson. I still wonder, low key, Sam, if something is not physically wrong there. And then, of course, you had mentioned it about getting your confidence back. There may be a mental component that's now come into play with him as well. Because after a while, after you start giving up runs where after two games, you're now into the double digits, that does start to just really kind of play with your psyche psyche. But ultimately speaking, that's kind of been the disappointment and the head scratcher for me for the first half. But for the Braves, that is. Now, what's not a head scratcher and never a disappointment is betonline.net. That's the number one source, Sam, for all betting needs and sports info. You can literally find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including things like Major League Baseball and maybe who is going to be in the driver's seat at the All Star break or who is going to ultimately win the NL East, or maybe if Atlanta will revisit expanding itself as a sports community. Those are the types of things you can find on BetOnline. It's the continued source for all your sports wagering info, live betting, esports, scores, and it's really just the best spot even for all your sports scores, podcasts, news this season. I can't tell you how great that website is just for being kind of that all encompassing, fast, easy way to check on all of these things. So, again, just go to betonline.net. That's where the game starts for you. After you watch our show today, why don't you go to that website, check it out, use your mobile device or use your laptop or whatever device you choose so that you can get more information for all of your betting needs. Because I tell you, you bet on the Braves, it's not going to be a bad look for you. I think it's going to be a good look for you in that second half. And when we come back in For the Culture, we're going to talk about something where there's a league out there that's not just showing it, but they're not just talking about it, they're being about it. It's a show and prove situation we'll talk about on the other side. It's ATL Day Ones.